Let's begin looking at trust today. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to do the bell ringer there. Go ahead and log into Canvas. And in Canvas, you're going to find the assignment called Trust. And as you click on the assignment, Trust, here's what it's going to look like. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to take $100 million and I want you to stop and think about it. Who might you give that kind of money to? And I want you to divide it up amongst people and charities and all those things that you might want to give to. Now, I'm not going to stop the video. You stop the video so you do that, and so you would stop and divide it. Now, coming back, let's go to let's go on with our presentation. So you've got that done. In class, we talked about what people would give and to whom. And so you just need to ponder that in your heart. Put it down. It says put it on a new Google Docs. Just write it on a piece of paper right now, and then we're going to come back to where I think would be easier for you to put it. Okay, so once you have completed that bell ringer, I want you to come back and go log in, come back to our trust assignment, and there is a click on Trust Presentation. Now it's going to look like this, and it's going to look, that's not what it is. Let's do right here. Come on, there we go. And so it's a PowerPoint, and so what I'm wanting you to do with this PowerPoint is you're going to follow along, but you're also going to, in the process, you're also going to be deciding what needs to go in those spots. So for you, you want to look at what things would fit in that, and I'll kind of go down and try to walk you through it pretty straightforward like. So let's define the word trust. So the word trust means it's a legal vehicle that allows a third party, a trustee, to hold and direct assets in a trust fund on behalf of a beneficiary. Now that sounds like it's big definition, but let's see if we can break it down. The first is a legal vehicle. A legal vehicle just means, it doesn't mean a car, it just means something that legally moves this trust forward and allows it to work. So that's our legal vehicle. So the trust is something that is created legally to allow what you want to happen. Now, look at our definitions here. The first is our trustee, and a trustee is our third party. That means it's somebody that is not in your family. It means it's not you. So it's somebody else that's going to be managing your trust. The second thing is direct assets. Assets are anything, first of all, that you could touch. So this board behind me is an asset. My computer is an asset. They have value. And in this instance, it's the money. The money has value, and that's an asset. And so the trustee, the person you put in charge, is going to manage your money that you've put in your trust. Now, it could be a business in the trust that's being operated, and so it's not just money. I'm just trying to make it as simple. So a lot of things that generate money could be put in this idea of a trust. The last thing is on behalf of a beneficiary. Now, a beneficiary is someone who gets the benefit of the trust. That means someone who is going to get money out of the trust. And so trustee, person managing the trust that is not part of someone that's not you. Assets, that's anything of value that's generating value. And then beneficiary is, of course, the person who's going to get the money from it. So that's the first one. Let's look at the next one. A trust. What does a trust do? Now, a trust allows you to minimize. It really comes back to say it minimizes taxes. That's ultimately what you're after here. Taxes are large, especially when you're dealing with money. The government wants to take its um, take its taxes out of anything and everything it can. And so because of that, what we want to do is we want to make certain that they take as little as possible so that you can give what you need. Oops, switch things there. That you can give them as much as give the person that you're wanting to get the trust as quick and as much as you can. So that is to minimize tax. The second thing, trust allows you to, my mind just went blank. I'm sorry. The trust allows you to create a legacy. Now, the word legacy here means a legacy of giving. The word legacy means that once you're gone, your trust, what you set up, is still giving money away. It is still helping those people you wanted to help. And so, like when you see a hospital that's got a big building that has a name on it, that money probably was given through a trust. And so, even though that person has passed away, there is so much money they're giving them money every year for that trust. And so that's what it means, legacy. Now, 3, it keeps your loved ones from going through a lengthy probate of a will. Probate means that once you read a will, it's got to go through the legal system. So anybody that objects to that will has their opportunity to object. And so if the trust is already set up, we don't have to go through the legal system. It's already done. And so they don't have to do that. Number 4, allows you to give money to the individual or charity, and even controls the amount that's paid out. And so what that means there is that it allows you, setting up the trust, to say exactly who you want to get it and to even control the amount that they get. So if you're thinking, if you were giving a trust to your children in the future and you wanted them to have $1,000 a month, then it would say $1,000 a month. No matter how much it's producing, it's only giving them $1,000 a month. Maybe they're not good with money, but that's kind of what it's set up to do. The third one is, or the fifth one is, that a trust helps pay bills for a child who is unable to pay them or not mature enough to pay them. So it's like for a child who you set up a trust, and the child who the parents die early, the trust fund that was set up by their parents pays all their expenses up to a certain date, or continues to pay that the rest of their life. Or it could be for somebody who is horrible with money, and if you gave them all that money, they would spend it, they would waste it, and it would all be gone the next day. And so that's what it's there to help avoid. So that's what's the good thing about trust. Now, let's talk about by created trust, you can, first of all, the first one here is determine where your assets go and when your beneficiaries can access them. So basically it's by creating a trust, you say who gets the money and when they get them. That's it. Who gets the money and when they get it. Number 2, it comes back to saving those people who are getting the money from having to pay the taxes, estate tax, and all the attorney fees. It's already set up. So they don't have to pay any other fees. They're just going to get this check every month or every year, however it's set up, by the trustee. He's going to write that check to them however often he has been prescribed to do. The third one, it protects your assets from creditors that your beneficiaries may have. Here's what that means. If your mom was bad with money and you left her money, And so bill collectors were trying to get to the trust to try to get paid. They can't do it. It's a step between them being able to get to that lump sum of money so that even though she may owe debt and creditors may be after them, she's still going to get that trust money every month. Now, once it hits her account, that's up to them, but they can't get to the principal to decrease the trust. All right. The fourth one is if something happens to the beneficiary, say it was given to a parent, say you gave your money to a parent and they passed away, what's going to happen to that trust? Well, a trust also can have in there a place for it to be where to go with it next. And sometimes that's give it to a charitable amount. Sometimes that's to move it to someone else. But typically, that way it says, hey, what do we do? Because if that person dies, the trust is just going, holding its hand up going, I don't know, what do I do with the money? And so it allows it to deal with that. What do we do with that? The last one is, and we've mentioned it before, it's to avoid the long court battle when it comes to probating a will. So it keeps all that money going to who it needs and them not waiting for it while people legally try to take the money or, go through court and take money that's not theirs. So the trust allows that. All right. Our next one is a couple of types of trust. Our first most common type of trust is a marital or a trust. And it says marital, it should be marital. Sorry about that. A marital trust is if I set up a trust that my wife or we're going to benefit from. And so if something happens to me, my wife has already set aside, she's going to get her money and until she dies. And so that's a marital or a trust. So the definition is going to be, it provides for that surviving spouse, that husband or wife who didn't die. It provides them money, consistent money. That's a marital trust. The next one is a credit shelter trust. And what that is that allows the trust maker to hide for a couple about $23-24 million where it can't be that someone can't get a hold of it, and then they can still get it. They can still get money off of it, but it kind of keeps it away from debtors. The next one is our charitable remainder trust, and that's the idea that I talked about earlier is if something happens to someone and they die, what does the trust do? And so there may be a charitable remainder trust set up that says, once this is finished or once they're dead, what do we do with this money? And that's what the charitable remainder trust does. It directs that. All right? There are two kinds of trusts, the way they're kind of divided up. The first is a revocable trust. And revocable trust means that if I set up, and these are for living trusts, meaning I'm still alive, I set up a trust and I could come up and I could change that trust. Revocable means I can change it around. Now, the good thing is I've got the ability to change it. The bad thing is that it doesn't, because I have some control over it, it doesn't have the tax advantage that the other one has. So now I've got the irrevocable trust, and it means during that time, nothing can change it. It is set. That's the way it's going to be. The benefit is someone else is doing it. I don't have to worry about that. That's all good and fine. The negative thing is if things change, you're still stuck with that trust trying to get money out of it, and it's going to be the same. So it's got some positive and negatives, and these are just kind of the overarching definitions of trust. some are revocable trusts, some are irrevocable trusts. All right? So let's talk about living trusts now. And a living trust, and this is our last slide, a living trust, it allows you to place assets in a trust while you're alive with control of the trust transferred to you after you die to a beneficiary that you've already designated. So it's kind of that charitable trust, but in the midst of the living trust, I'm getting money off of it. I'm living off that money. Maybe say in retirement, I've taken that money and put it in a living trust. And so I'm still living off of it. When I die, the trust knows now what to do with that money, whether it be start paying out to my kids, whether it be giving to a charity, giving to a hospital or a church or an organization or whatever. So that's what a living trust does. Now, a living trust has got some benefits to it. The first, it means the first benefit is someone else takes responsibility for that. Meaning, I can now retire at whatever age, I can retire. Someone else is managing the money and just sending me the checks. Now, I've made all that money, but someone else is managing that money. I don't have to worry about it. I can just play and enjoy the rest of my life. That trust is going to take care of me. The second benefit is that if it's a business that's put in that living trust, that business is going to get its operating, it's going to continue to operate under the trust. So it's going to continue to operate. The trust will hire managers, whatever, and you will still get the benefit of that. So for a company, it just means that the company's going to keep going, and then you're going to continue to get the benefit from that. The third thing is that it protects your assets. If you get dementia, or if you get incapacitated in a hospital and it's paying your medical bills and all, that is the living trust, because someone else is managing it. You're still going to get paid. Your insurance is still going to be taken care of. It's still going to be paying all of your expenses. And so a living trust, if you can't think right anymore, the living trust is taking care of those bills for you. All right. The last one with the living trust is that in the end, with your will, no one can contest the trust. It's already been set up. It's set up when you were alive. It's set up when you were. No one can come back and say, oh, that's, argue that that's not the right will or anything, because this trust has already been in place and working. So it just has a smooth transition when you're gone. Okay, so that's the trust we've been looking at, types of living trusts, irrevocable trusts, marital trusts, credit shelter trusts, charity trusts. We've looked at why creating them, what that allows you to do, and a definition. So you should be taking those notes, filling those in, and turning that back in for that assignment. What I'd like for you to do is remember our opening thing with $100 million. What I'd like for you to do is come down here at the end, open a new sheet, and then look at all those people you were going to give money to and decide what kind of trust do you want them to have. Maybe you're giving some money to a brother or sister, but you know that, man, they can't even find their own clothes every morning. So maybe you need them to be a managed trust that they're not making any decisions for. So that may be a good thing. Maybe if you're going to give some to your parents, that you want that trust in there, that living trust for them that has a charitable remainder trust portion to it. Maybe you're going to put yourself in the living trust and let someone pay for it. So I want you to go through, take that money. Maybe it's for a church and you want to give that church or that hospital or any other charitable organization, SPCA. You want to give them so much every year, then maybe you're going to allot that money so that the trust gives them money every year. So maybe you set up a trust for the animals. So that being said, I want you to take that 100 million that you and the division that you already did. Maybe you're going to divide it up a little bit more. Be specific. Give it to those people on paper, but say which trust you would use and for what reason. Why did you choose that? Make certain you turn all that in. And that is the end of our assignment. Hope you have a great day. If you need anything, please let me know.